Greetings, Raider Nation. This week, we're taking on the Texas State Bobcats. The Bobcats are coming off a bye week after beating Texas A&M Prairie View, and we're coming off a gritty, hard-fought, victory against TCU. Now, I don't see this game being a hard game for us to beat. Well, Texas State is still in that transition period because they were an FCS team a few seasons ago, and this is only their second year in the FBS, so they are still a relatively weak team, but they have the potential to grow to be I'm not going to call them a major threat, but they do have the ability to become a pretty good team, I think. But the past few games they played this season have not really been all that great for them, both offensively and defensively, regardless of what the fans say about how great their defense is. For their defense may have allowed very little scoring and is one of the best in the league when it comes to total scoring, but they've only played 2 games, and those were against Southern Miss, who is in an off period right now after their major season in 2011, and Texas A&M Prairie View. None of those teams are really marquee games or big games at all, and their defense performed mixed results in those games. I mean, they allowed 377 yards through the air against Southern Miss. If Southern Miss is throwing that much through the air against that secondary, I can only imagine what Baker Mayfield will do. I mean, Baker Mayfield has fought some really great defenses, which is this season will be us. TCU's secondary, which I still think is a great defense. TCU is still a very good team, but that's just me, and beside the point. So I don't see this Texas State defense being anywhere near as good as TCU was, and the off game that Mayfield did have against them will not be repeated in this game. And I'm going to expect more things experimental on the offensive side of the ball, like I did against Stephen F. Since this is our last game before we play the rest of our conference games, this will be the time to get some questions answered about what we can and can't do again. And I expect us to see us rushing the ball more. And that's probably the only thing so far this season that that Texas State defense has been consistent in stopping. But they have not really faced any high-powered offensive team, so that's misleading. I do see Tech running the ball well, and I also see us tearing through that secondary of theirs. Now on the flip side, on their offense, really not all that impressive. Texas State is an option team, for those unaware, and they are primarily one team. And so far this season, they've had mixed results. Against Southern Miss, they could get nothing started. And against A&M Prairie View, they got it going. I mean, granted, their passing game is not that great, but they're not a passing team. So the fact that they're in the bottom 10 is not really any concern. But they don't really have an offensive identity just yet. They're still just there. I mean, yes, they are a one team, but they have not faced any great defense yet this season. And I think our defense is a pretty good defense. I'm not going to say one of the best in the league, no, but it's definitely a unappreciated defense in the Big 12 when it's looking to be a crapshoot. And from what I've been hearing from the coaches, they're thinking about on the state side that they're planning to throw the ball more than they are to rush it. For they've seen our previous games we have played, and we have held great backs and rushing quarterbacks to pretty good effect. Most notably against Boykin last week against TCU, and I don't think the quarterback for Texas State is anywhere close to Boykin. No offense to Texas State. So I don't see them getting too much going as an offense. And I know they are planning to keep the game low scoring, but I don't see that happening. And if they do go through the air, you can expect our cornerbacks and safeties beyond them, especially Bullet. Let's say his name like Bullet? Yeah. Who had a great game in the past few weeks. So this game should be a relatively easy victory for us to play. So long as we don't make any stupid mistakes, don't overlook them, because we've seen what happened this season when you overlook teams you should play. Play them as you would any other team. Play them hard. Don't go easy on them because they are a lesser team. Don't let the ranking go to our heads, and don't look at the 7-0 start, because there's still a lot of football left to be played. That should not be on our minds at all until it happens. Now, I predict the final score for this game to be I'm going to use the score we did against Stephen F. 61-13. That's my prediction for the game. And oh yeah, apparently this is a whiteout game. So, we're white for the Cotton game. Until next time, Raider Nation, guns up, Raider Power, Vacuum Tech.